You can say that given how many horrible things happened to the characters in this movie, they really didn't have a magical time. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking a Shudder release that dropped at the end of last month called The Queen of Black Magic. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this movie were, if you already saw it, if you were excited for it, if you weren't planning on seeing it. Let me know in the comments so we can discuss. Also, make sure to give this a thumbs up if you like these reviews, as it helps me out immensely by getting my channel out there and growing the community. And if you are new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with reviews of new releases, older films, hidden gems, and so much more on a near daily basis. But let's not waste any more time and let's talk about The Queen of Black Magic. This follows three men who were best friends at an orphanage, and they return with their families to visit the man who once took care of them, now old and seriously ill. However, over the course of one night, strange things begin to happen to each of the families, forcing them to confront the orphanage's troubled history. This is written by Joko Anwar, who also wrote Impetigore, which is also out on Shudder, and it's directed by Kimo Stamboel, who also directed the action movie Headshot. And it's an Indonesian horror movie that is actually a remake of a 1981 film of the same name, also from Indonesia. I haven't seen it. It doesn't appear to be incredibly well known, though I did see it's actually also available now on Shudder, and it seems like there are some differences in terms of plot based on just reading the synopsis. This film, though, is a mix of a character study while also being a creepy, atmosphere-driven haunted house movie. The main theme of this film is how the sins of the past will come back to haunt those in the present, and it uses a horror lens to give us a perspective on serious issues such as abuse, trauma, and the effects it can have on those who were involved in these sort of incidents. And I absolutely love when horror movies are able to address topical real-life subjects, as it adds an extra layer of chills when the film is attempting to scare us. And there are several points in this film where, as you're learning more about what happened at this place, you feel like your stomach's just going to turn upside down. But whenever this film explores its heavier subject matter, it never does so in an exploitative sort of way, which is the one way this can be handled wrong. It never tries to shock you just for the sake of it. You'll get information through a mix of what's shown and what's told to us. For example, there's a scene where characters are looking at pictures that imply something really horrifying, and they'll just fill in the blanks with a few brief lines said to another character, so that it does more than enough to paint the picture needed to make us feel uneasy. I appreciated the respect it gave to some of the subject matter it covered, and how it gracefully handled some of that material. But when it comes to the haunted house related content, it does go a little all out with some of the stuff that happens to these characters, because people will find themselves overrun by creepy crawly bugs hanging onto them, or people will become possessed and harm themselves or attempt to harm others in the house. And these moments are slightly more over the top than the thematic elements, but it stays just below the threshold of reaching cartoonish territory, and it manages to just stay within the confines of the tone established from the beginning. There's somewhat of this B-movie feel when watching this film, but it never felt like there were two distinct tones clashing repeatedly. At best, maybe not even a handful of times, but not to the point where it felt consistently jarring. And I think those of you who are into good old-fashioned haunted house fright fest won't be disappointed here. I will say though, while what we see these characters do to themselves and others is definitely chilling, some of the special effects showing these various instances can be pretty bad. That's one of my major criticisms of the movie. You have a lot of very obvious CGI here, like some of the bugs crawling over these characters don't look real by any means, and certain wounds characters sustain could have also been much better. And I'm not saying I didn't mind how they look, because they can be a bit distracting, but it also didn't ruin the movie for me, because I was still invested in the story and what happened to each of these characters. I thought it did a great job of touching upon all of its themes, and the performances were all solid enough that I was still interested. Though my only other major criticism is that while it's meant to be character driven, and I did care what happened to them, I just wish it did a better job of fleshing out some of the characters, because it's a very large cast, as you have the three friends at the orphanage, each of whom have fairly large families, plus you also have the people who work at the orphanage when they all get there, so it's a lot of people to keep track of, and some of them just felt a bit disposable, to be quite honest. We get enough with some of them, such as one of the three men, Hanif, played by Aryo Bayu, that there is some intrigue to them, and there is somewhat of an arc, but a lot of these characters only have a handful of moments in the beginning where we get any sense of who they are, and then the next thing you know, they're maimed or killed, and it felt a bit like that was their only purpose. I think maybe if the cast wasn't quite as huge and we were able to spend more time with less characters, I think it would have been much more effective. This is far from a perfect movie, but I think it's solid for the most part. It could have been better as far as the special effects went, as well as some of the character development, but the negatives were greatly overshadowed by the film's handling of themes such as confronting trauma and using an old-fashioned haunted house setting to bring those themes out to the forefront, balancing out the serious subject matter with moments horror fans will certainly enjoy. So I'd say this is worth the watch, despite its obvious faults. So if you have Shudder, I'd recommend checking this one out. The Queen of Black Magic gets a 7.5 out of 10. So let me know, did you see The Queen of Black Magic, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Did you happen to see the original? Did you like it more than this, or less than this? Let me know in the comments so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll catch you next time.